Are we live? Because I can't see it.
Yes, we are live. Facebook gave me an issue on one of the pages.
Really?
Yes, but I just shared from my page to the Real Man Talk page where it should be at. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Real Man Talk Show. Come on in. Come on in to the Real Man Talk Show. Welcome to the Real Man Talk Show. We got an awesome lineup for you all tonight, and we have some special guests that's coming on that's running for sheriff here in Fort Bend County. But right now, I want to introduce my co-host, Sean Davis, and my special guest co-host, Ms. Monica Riley. How y'all doing?
Doing great.
Doing great, brother. Doing great.
Good. To you all that's following, you can go to my page or you can go to the Real Man Talk Show and watch the video. For some reason, Facebook decided they didn't want to broadcast on the Real Man Talk, so I had to share it to the Real Man Talk. So I'm just part of another Facebook and how they do to keep things out of the public. But tonight, and we got two amazing guests that's going to be on the show tonight. And we're going to be talking about politics once again every Wednesday. And the month of October is Politic Wednesday. And we decided to do this because we wanted to make sure that the voters was informed in regards to the candidates that they're chosen and how to go about choosing a candidate. So with the help of Monica and Sean, we pretty much dedicated this show this month in regards to politics so people can be informed. So with that being said, let me ask you, what's been going on so far since early election have started? Sean, what's been going on up there in Tulsa, Oklahoma, man?
So far, it's been smooth sailing. People are being able to go early vote without a lot of chaos and a lot of lines, but there is fear in the air, strictly from the standpoint of some of the right-wing, white groups are saying that they're showing up to the polls armed to make sure nobody acts up. So that's been something that has been kind of put across the waves here in Tulsa. Now, this is something supposed to be going on nationwide, but it's really, for whatever reason, they're really taking it serious here in Tulsa. They're actually putting additional manpower out on the Super Tuesday and requiring overtime. So that's what's happening here in Tulsa.
Wow. Well, Monica, let me ask you, because I know you always putting in work for the community, and if I'm correct, I think you probably was at the polls today. What have you noticed today if you was there?
Yes, I was there on the first day of early voting, got there before the polls opened, and to see the lines, I mean, literally the lines were like blocks and blocks long. It was a very, exciting moment, but the disappointment here in Fort Bend County was none of the machines were working when the polls opened. So that was a huge upset. I mean, it was a big issue, and voter suppression at its absolute worst. We're talking about hundreds of people in line at various locations around the county. We have 30 polling locations. So you're talking about this is happening all over the county. There were about thousands of people that could not vote when the polls opened. I know that some of the machines started coming up around 10:30 a.m. But I was so proud of our Fort Bend County voters. They stayed in line, they waited for hours, and they got their votes in. So kudos to Fort Bend County voters for making their vote count.
Good job, good job. I would tell you, I know in Brazoria County, the president of the Houston Breakfast Club told me him and his wife went to vote yesterday, and they got there about 6:45. And said that the polls wouldn't go open till 9 o'clock. And so they said they ended up leaving, coming back, running errands. But the good thing about it, when they came back, the lines wasn't that long.
Okay.
Some of the issues we have, and as well as Harris County has set a record with voters turning out just to vote. And I'm very impressed because this is early voting. And Monica and I, we've been talking about this early voting. People don't want to come out. But this year is the complete opposite. So that says a whole lot about this election, and people are really engaged to what's going on this year.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, yes. It's exciting.
Yes. So let me ask you, Monica, what do you per se, because we've been planning for this, and even the Harris County polls back there, they've been working, and they've been planning for things like this. But what do you see happening? Because early voting is actually going on quite a long time this year versus traditionally it's probably 2 weeks and it's cut off, but it's pretty much going all the way up until election. I think it's like a week break, and then you got the finals. How do you see that playing out?
I think it plays out well. It works to the advantage of the voters because I can honestly say I didn't even see this many people show up on early voting the first day when Obama was being elected into office. So we have records everywhere. And it's not just here in Fort Bend County, Harris County. It's like people are reporting in all over various cities and states that they are having record numbers coming in that are voting on the first day. So I think that the workers, the locations, they did not anticipate this type of mass turnout across the nation to come and vote on early voting day. And the second day today was no different. They were mass lines, hundreds of people lined up ready to vote again. Because I'm pretty sure some people went home and said, well, hey, I'll try it the next day. But they came back today and they were being able to cast their vote. But I think it's important that people do understand, because we've been talking about it too, is to be prepared to go to the polls. Have your sample ballot, know who your candidates are, know who you're voting for, and plan for a wait. So that's the biggest thing that's going on that I don't think people were prepared for on both sides, voters and workers. But they're doing it because of the upset across the nation. People are sick and tired of, certain politicians, and then also they're tired of not being heard and not being treated correctly. So this is how you use your voice. You go vote people out that you don't like, and you vote in people that you like. Simple as that.
There you go. And also, besides what you like, do research. And Monica and Sean and I have been talking about this. Research these candidates that y'all vetting. Just don't go to the polls and just vote just because they're Democrat. Because once again, just because they're Republican. A lot of these people are in races just to be in races. A lot of them not here for the community. So you need to do your research. Find out what they have done. Find out what are their intentions before you just put them in. Because once you put them in, you stuck with them. And if they don't really have no desire for the community, then we stuck for 2 to 4 years with this person in office that just pretty much taking up a seat. And that's not what we want here on out. We've been doing that for some time.
Now, I will say one of our biggest helpers in this election is one of the things that was so talked about, and that's the internet and social media. Social media has now prompted more people to go out and vote. But not only that, what you said earlier, social media has prompted people to now take a real finite look at these people that they have in office and are putting up their past records and understanding how they voted and what they've done for the communities that they're supposed to be representing. And it's starting to be seen through the internet and through social media platforms. These people are not doing nothing. They're collecting a check and laughing at the people who they're supposed to be helping.
You are so right, Sean. Oh my gosh, you're so right. I was telling the lady today, and because they were asking about some different candidates, and they wanted to know. And one of the things that we talk about and we educate is, as it relates to social media, go look at their social media and just scroll up, see what they did last year, what they did 2 years ago, and do you see a pattern? Do you only see their social media active when it's election time, if they're a current incumbent? Do you see them being involved in the community, or do you see them, showing up to events, take a picture and leave? I think it's critical that if you don't know who you're voting for, you may want to pause and take an extra day and do your research, because all the evidence is out there. Social media is a
It
powerful
is.
thing. Mm-hmm.
One of the things I saw today was a newspaper clip of Joe Biden, and if I'm not mistaken, I want to say this was in 1982 or 83, where he was talking about integrating and busing black kids into white schools. And he literally said, now I'm not saying it verbatim, of course, but he literally said, I don't want my kids in a jungle. And he referred to the idea of mixing and integrating the schools as to being a jungle. And he did not want his kids being in a jungle. And you know what he's meant by that on the slide.
Oh, absolutely.
So hell, right now, you're kissing the pig or you're kissing the donkey. Either way, we're not getting the best candidate in the office. So it's just the lesser of two evils.
There you go. There you go. You said that in a nutshell.
Pretty much. No other way to put it.
And that's the presidential position. That honestly, and I told y'all last week, and I've said it before, I am very concerned about the two candidates on both sides. I don't really care if you Republican, Democrat, Republican, Independent, Liberal, all that. But the two that we have to select from, it concerns me on both sides. And from, as an African American descended woman, I know I'm mixed. I got a lot of stuff going on up in me and stuff. But from a perspective that I look out for, education for our Latino and, African American kids, it concerns me that people see us as a race in that manner. But yet you're bringing on this African American woman as your vice president, who y'all didn't get along when y'all were running, and y'all both said some very nasty, derogatory, yet true things about one another. And now y'all are kissy face and face to face and all in love, running for, the presidential and vice president. I don't trust that. And not to mention, I don't trust those comments that you made about us not too long ago. A leopard don't change its spots. No. Okay.
He can put on a shirt, but them spots are still there, baby girl. He's still gonna look the same when he get naked.
Unless that shirt got a cover up for the tail's still showing. You showing your tail, as my mama used to say.
That's good and bad of, once again, the internet. The internet can go back, as you see, hundreds of years that we're now finding out research that we didn't know about today because of the internet. So it's good. In regards to the candidate, I agree with you, Monica. The presidential election, I don't care for the presidential election, but once again, I don't want to discourage the voters. So that's why it's on local elections. Let's look at the local elections, because I don't care for either one of the candidates. And right now, I'm very bipartisan and just finding who has the best agenda. And right now, I can't tell you what either one of their agendas are, to be honest.
Wow.
See, I thought that was me. I thought I was the only one.
Well, it ain't you.
Okay. Because I cannot find either candidate can tell you. I can find anything they said that is a plan. What are you trying to do for the next 4 years in office? Neither one has. Hell, Trump's been trying to bring his Obamacare replacement since he got in office, and he keeps talking about it's 2 weeks away. Come on, man.
But what I have found, and this may sound petty, but is how it is in politics. A lot of time, candidates don't want to put their plan of action in writing or talk about it too much in depth, because they're concerned that the opponent is going to steal their ideas. And not saying that ain't the case here or any other, voting, but I have seen people steal other people's platforms. I'm telling you, they will do it because they're like, that's a good idea. I'm going to add that to my list of things. So sometimes candidates don't want to talk a whole lot out in the open on social media and the websites, because there is a concern that sometimes your opponent will take your ideas and they will use it, and with no shame, they will use that to their advantage. And that's not fair if you have a very unique set of plans. And I think that's why it's important that candidates get in the face-to-face opportunity so they can share those intimate details and structure of what their plan of action is going to be if they make it in the office, i.e. segue, which is why we're doing this, discussion and dialogue tonight with our two Fort Bend County Sheriff candidates. We get to hear from them directly, and we're not asking the same old boring questions. We're asking some really good, intimate questions so that our viewers and listeners and those that watch the replay on The Real Men Talk Show will have an opportunity to really get more insight about these candidates.
I agree. And with that being said, Monica, let's go ahead and get into the nuts and bolts. As you all know, we got a major election going on. In Fort Bend County, we got a major election in regards to the sheriff position. And we got two candidates that's coming on the show today. And we got one that's we're about to bring on. And we're going to talk about what they going to do if they get in that position and why should the voters actually vote them in that position. It's going to be a life-changing event because it's actually going to be very monumental as well as historical. Depends on which one of them get into office. So with that being said, Monica, I'm going ahead and let you bring up the first candidate.
Let's see, who do we have? Who's popping? It's like ding dong, ding dong, ding 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 ding. Oh, okay, you're the winner. You logged in first.
What do I win?
You win free advertisement on the Real Men Talk Show.
I first want to say, Mr. Hightower, pleasure to meet you. I don't know if this is the first time. Mr. Davis, how are you?
I'm good, sir. And yourself?
Monica, I know her all too well.
Absolutely. Well, Trevor, thank you so much for being a part of tonight's show. We know that you guys are out there on the campaign trail. We commend you for your hard work, but we also commend you for taking this time out because it is very important. We've got hundreds logged on right now just paying attention to this because we still have thousands of voters like Mr. Davis and Hightower. They don't know who they're going to select, for their choice and who they're going to recommend their social networks to vote for. So this is a prime time to be able to be on tonight and discuss these answers to the questions that we have and to share your platform with us. So audience and listeners and viewers out there, Constable Trevor Nehls is no stranger to Fort Bend County. I'm not going to say a whole lot about him because he's going to share a little bit about who he is, in about 1 minute. Trevor, I'm gonna give you the mic, but like a preacher, I'm gonna have to amen you off the stage. Go too long. In about 1 minute, just tell the people who you are and a little bit about yourself in about 1 minute, and that way they can start making those connections to you.
Okay, very good. So in that 1 minute, I'll talk a little bit about my family and my law enforcement experience because my family is most important to me. So I'm married to Carrie, been married for over 20 years, and we have 3 beautiful children. God has blessed us in so many ways. My daughter's 16. I have a son, Wyatt, that's 14, and another son, Parker, that's 13. So I've got 3 teenagers. So I'm pretty busy each and every day.
We're praying for you.
2 attend public school here in Fort Bend County, and then 1 attends private school. But I'm so proud of them, and I'm proud of my wife, and I'm confident Mr. Fagan will also tell you that, when you're a candidate for office, it's really the family that runs. It's not just the candidate itself because all the sacrifices. But I've been a police officer for 30 years, 27 plus years in Fort Bend County. I've been the constable in Precinct 4 for the last 8 years. Prior to that, I served with the Sugar Land Police Department for 20 years. And I'm also a 32-year member of the U.S. Army Reserve. I'm retiring, so I think I'll be out of the U.S. Army Reserve in the next 90 to 120 days. But I've done 32 years of military service with multiple deployments overseas, Iraq, Afghanistan, Kuwait, you name it, I've done it. But I serve as the rank of colonel, so I've experienced a lot in those 32 years. I've held commands at the company, battalion, and brigade level. So I have the necessary skill set of deliberate planning, strategic level planning to properly lead and effectively lead the Fort Bend County Sheriff's Department, which for your listeners and viewers, it's 826 employees with a budget of $79 million. So it's one of the 10 largest sheriff's offices in the state of Texas. And we know everything's big in Texas. So I have that necessary skill set and that strategic level planning and thinking, creative thinking, critical thinking to lead the sheriff's office. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Wow. Well, I just learned something right there. I wonder how many sheriff staff members we have and what their budget is like. You think they'll share like a 1 million with me or something, you know?
Yeah. I think I take over a lot of time, Monica.
Well, you know, we do practice grace sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
But
we all need that.
Amen to that. Well, thank you, Constable Trevor Nehls, for sharing within your time limit a little bit about who you are. I like the intimacy that you shared, your background and some of your history. And thank you so much for your service in the military. Really appreciate that as well.
Thank you.
Well, our next candidate that we have that's running for Fort Bend County Sheriff is no stranger to Fort Bend County as well. I'm not going to go into all the details like I did with the first candidate. I'm going to let you guys listen and hear from our next candidate, and he's going to tell you a little bit about himself, his candidacy, or whatever he wants you guys to know in about 1 minute. He's going to share that with you. So let's welcome Eric Fagan, who's a former retired HPD officer, to the dialogue. Eric, tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are, what you people want to know, what you want them to know in about 1 minute. And like I told Trevor, you got the mic, but don't let me have to amen you off the stage now. Go for it.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here. Yes, I'm Eric Fagan. I'm a Democratic candidate for Fort Bend County Sheriff. I've been blessed to be married to my high school sweetheart. We've been together for 45 years, been married for 35 years. We're blessed to have 2 beautiful children. My daughter, who's now a doctor, Dr. Fallon Fagan, and my son, Patrick Fagan, who passed away to go home with the Lord back in 2013. I've been in Fort Bend for over 29 years. I have a degree in criminal justice from Prairie View A&M. I graduated #1 in my class. Then I went on to work for the state of Texas, investigator, abuse, welfare fraud. I'm on mute?
Oh, no, we can hear
You're
you.
freezing up.
Oh, okay. Welfare fraud. Then I went on to work with the Houston Police Department. There did 31 years. I've won the Office of the Year award. That's one of the highest awards in law enforcement. To win that once is rare. I've won it 3 times. I became the president of the second largest union with AD. I helped negotiate a $780 million budget. So I understand about budget. I have one of the highest budgets in the state working for the Houston Police Department. Also, I have a 7-point plan that I want to perform for Fort Bend County. I want to bring community-oriented policing to the county, to bring the community and the law enforcement together. So I'm asking for your vote and your support to become your next Fort Bend County Sheriff.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. That was a lot of great intel and details. And on behalf of the Real Men Talk Show, as well as Mountain Move Monica, just let us give our condolences to the loss of your son those years ago. Just know that we want to acknowledge that happened and that you have our sympathies for that. But we definitely thank you for your service in law enforcement, and we appreciate that.
Sticking.
Am I?
Yes, likewise. So
The devil don't want us to be great tonight. That's all it is. Okay.
so let's go to our first questions. Monica, I'm gonna let you start off with the first question. Then after the first question, the response from both the candidates, we'll go to a 5-minute commercial break at around 8:30.
Okay, great. So I'm going to ask each of you the same question, and on these we're going to really monitor the time because we don't want to go over and not let the listeners hear what you have to say. So my first question is going to be, what would be your ideal initiative that you would like to connect the community to your office and to build those community relationships? So what is the first initiative project that you would like to implement when you get into office and make it? I'm going to start with, on this first question, Mr. Trevor Nehls, since he was the first to come in to log in, and then we'll go straight into Mr. Fagan. And you'll have 1.5 minutes.
Oh, I better get going then. My candidacy for sheriff and my platform is quite simple. And I say that the reason it's simple is that Fort Bend County is a great place to live. It's a great place to raise a family, start a business. We have very safe and secure streets. And I think the level of trust that exists between the 825,000 residents that call Fort Bend County home and law enforcement is good. So my platform of enhanced safety and security, community partnerships, unity through diversity and fiscal responsibility, my platform is built on those key points. But my priorities are a little different than the platform. But with respect to crime prevention and community partnerships, I've served in Fort Bend County for over 27 years. And we know that Fort Bend County is the most diverse county in the United States. So I'm thinking we could make some assumptions that Sugar Land or Missouri City may be the most diverse cities in Fort Bend County, makes them very, very diverse. But I think the leadership in Fort Bend County, whether it's municipal leaders, whether it's Missouri City, Sugar Land, Fulshear, Katy, whatever the case, I think we've done very well in being proactive and reaching out to the diversity that we have. Because our diversity in Fort Bend County didn't grow overnight. It wasn't here last year, 5 years ago. It's been here for 3 to 4 decades. And I think our leadership, whether it's city council members, school board members, county commissioners, I think we've done well with being proactive in reaching out to the different communities that call Fort Bend County home, because we all live in fairly peace and harmony. The relationships that I've developed as a precinct 4 constable with when Reuben Davis was the constable, Gary Majors was the constable, Daryl Smith being the constable. We always have very good relationships. Because we know as law enforcement officials and law enforcement leaders, you must be a leader for all people. I talked to Eric this morning. We ran into each other at a polling location. And I said, Eric, whoever wins, whatever the case may be, maybe some thing we need to work with the state legislature is make our races nonpartisan. Because why should our races be partisan to begin with? Why would a law enforcement leader be designated with a partisan label? Because that indicates that we may not treat people equitably. And I don't think that's fair for anybody. It's not fair for Eric. It's not fair for Trevor. So if you remove the partisanship, I think that would be helpful. But I'm proud of the community relationships we built. My time at 27 years here in Fort Bend County with all different demographics and ethnic backgrounds in Fort Bend County. And I've gone over my time, Monica, so I'll be quiet.
Yes, you have. But it was great content. I think some of the things that you said were key points. So, okay. Eric, we're definitely going to give you the same amount of time. Do you need me to repeat the question? I think he's froze.
No.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Okay. Do you need me to repeat the question, or you're good?
No, I'm good. I'm good. My thing to reach out to the community is, first of all, Fort Bend County is the most diverse county in Texas, not only in Texas, but in the nation. But right now, the gap between law enforcement and the community has never been wider before. Statistics shows you're 8 times more likely to be stopped in Fort Bend County if you're African American. Times more likely to be stopped if you're an Hispanic. We have to change that, and we have to own up to that. So what I want to do is bring community-oriented policing to Fort Bend County. Also, we have to show that our command staff, not just on patrol or in the jail or courthouse, but in the command staff. Young people need to see people who look like them inside the command function of the sheriff's office. I want to do that. Fort Bend is a safe place to live. I'm not saying that it's not, but what I am saying, better. We have to do things better. We have to change law enforcement to be more proactive. We can do better. To say that we can't do better is a cop out. We have to do better. And I believe my opponent would agree with me. Then why run? You have to want to always do better. And Fort Bend County Sheriff's Department can do better.
Oh, you're done.
Yes.
I'm done.
I'm gonna stop the clock then. But that was great. Thank you so much. Sean, you want to ask your question? I'll let you go next.
Well, actually, let's go to a quick.
We're going to go to the break.
And now
we're going to do our little 5-minute break, and then we'll come back.
Oh, okay.
So y'all that's tuning in, hey, come back in about 2 minutes. We'll be back with candidates Trevor Nehls and Eric Fagan, who's running for Fort Bend County Sheriff. And if you have any questions, post your questions to comment. But until then, we're about to take a quick break.
Welcome to Houston's Notary, the fastest and most efficient mobile notary service. Houston's Notary pride itself on following up with their customers and making them feel at ease. Houston's Notary has the finest notaries that provides many services such as loan closings, fingerprints, cash outs, affidavits, wills, trust, power of attorneys, employment verification, documents for immigration, and legal documents. Wow! So many services that all you have to do is call. Toll free 1-844-292-5562 or 713-956-6485 or visit houstonsnotary.com. Let us be your notary.
Where did Ray go?
Welcome back to the Real Man Talk Show. You're here with Sean Davis and Monica Riley, and we're here with two of the candidates who's running for the Fort Bend County Sheriff. If you have any questions, place your comments in the comment box, and we will take your questions towards the end. But let's go on and get back into this and start asking questions to the candidates that's running for this sheriff position. Sean, what is your question for the candidates?
A very simple question. God bless both of you for being married as long as you have been and the different paths your careers have taken. over the years, what qualities have you acquired or gained across the time that you've been in public service and working in general that can relate to the job you're in or going for, and how can that relate to making things better for the community as a whole?
Who do you want to go first?
Either candidate, whoever would like to step to the plate first, I'm fine with that.
Okay, well, Eric, you go. You went. Trevor went first last time. You go ahead and knock it out.
Well, I'll take the question first if you don't mind. My career in law enforcement give me the ability to be the next sheriff of Fort Bend County. As I said, as a president of the second largest union at the police department, I started a program to reach out to the public, to bring the public and the community together. It was called Faith and Justice, where law enforcement officers and the command staff, from the chief of the police to our officers, went to various churches, temples, and mosques and sat at the services. And then after that, there to talk to them, to bring the community together. Also, on the mayor of the fourth largest city of this, on the protection detail leader, I gave directives to chiefs of police, sheriffs, constables, and their officers in different cities, states, and countries we entered. I also, by having that knowledge, I also was able to work on the Super Bowl 51, where we protected over 1 million visitors here in Houston. I know how to command, I know how to structure officers, and I know how to negotiate a budget. So I think these qualities will fit perfectly as your next sheriff of Bend. Oh, I'm finished.
You must have a stopwatch over there.
Good job.
Awesome. All right.
Nehls.
Yes, in the upper left-hand corner, I do.
Oh, okay, I'm like, he is cheating. There's no way he knows these. But that's good. Thank you for respecting the time. We appreciate it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Trevor.
Mr. Davis, if your question's related to like personal characteristics or qualities or my personality,
Yes.
I'll say this.
Just kind of a personal.
Sure.
Right. What things have you picked up over the years that would make you beneficial to the sheriff's department, and how would that convey in making public relations?
Sure. And that's a great question. It's a great question because it's sort of personal in nature. And I'll say this. I think my 32 years of military service has qualified me, uniquely qualified me. And the reason I say it is when you attain the rank of colonel, it means you've held commands at a lot of different levels. And you learn to be a part of a team, but you also learn to build teams. And you learn to be strategic level, like a strategic level thinker, a critical thinker. You learn deliberate planning. You learn to build effective teams. That's what you do with a 32-year career when you achieve the rank of colonel, because the next rank is a general officer where you're actually wearing a star. That's not going to happen in my case. But I think with the way I was raised, because my father was a military man, and then he was a 30-year law enforcement officer, and he was an elected sheriff. And then another brother elected sheriff. And I've always been more of selfless service and not selfish, because service comes from your heart, in my opinion. And I think you must love other people, love serving others, love putting smiles on faces when you were there to lend them a hand. Now that they may ask you to do something that you don't think is important or a big deal, but in their world, it's huge. So as minuscule as it may sound to you,
Trevor,
you react and you serve and you love on them, because that's what you do as an elected official. You do it just in life in general. So if everybody's kind and cordial and personable with everybody, but as a police officer, you can make that impact in life each and every day. I know of no occupation in the world where you can do that.
Trevor.
Hey, you should have a 0 seconds.
I do. I've been.
But they had me up there, so I was watching myself.
Okay, Ray, that was on you then.
Ray, you're in trouble.
I take
Okay, Ray.
Yeah,
I'm gonna need y'all to. You may need to stop watch too, Ray.
I got it.
Okay, so you can screen to jump back on when we hit that 30-second mark.
Yes.
So, okay, you're up next. You got a question?
Yeah, man, I want to first of all thank both of you all for putting your hat in the candidacy to run for this position. Both of y'all have done a lot in the community, so you really don't have to do nothing. So you're pretty much doing it because you want to do it. As you stated, you did 32 years in the military, and once again, I want to thank you for your service. Eric Fagan, you have been a police officer, if I'm correct, more than 29 years, as well as you had won the Officer of the Year twice. So I want to thank you.
Three times.
My bad. My apologies. Three times. So what I want to ask both of the candidates, as a person who have served in the military, that's been overseas and served in a couple of the conflicts, going over there, we work with a lot of sophisticated equipment, and we're pretty much in war. Coming back home, I see the same equipment that the police is using. And you're hearing about defunding the police. And I'm one of the people that's in favor, to a certain extent, to defunding the police. And Mr. Nehls, you had made a good point when you talked about the budget. $79 is a major budget for a police department.
Yes.
I want to ask you both, how do you feel about in regards to defunding the police, as well as how do you feel about the equipment that's been utilized on American citizens as if we're in war? And I will propose that starting with you, Mr. Nehls.
Okay, number one, great question, and thank you for your service. You and I may have chewed on some of the same sand at some point, so I'm curious to know where you were at. But I think the law enforcement today needs to take advantage of the technological advancements that exist in law enforcement. Specifically, when you think of like less lethal options, where officers don't have to go to deadly force options in law enforcement. And as your next sheriff, that's something that we will look into. But the advancement of body cameras. Now, as the constable, my deputies have body cameras, and we've had them for a couple of years. And as your next sheriff, it'll be one of my biggest priorities to bring body cameras to the patrol division of the Fort Bend County Sheriff's Department, because that's extremely, extremely important. But I think there's an opportunity here in law enforcement, because I truly believe, Mr. Hightower, there's going to be mandates coming down from the federal and state level. And I think the focus is going to be on de-escalation techniques.
30 seconds.
Less lethal options. Cut off. Okay, I'll continue. Less lethal options. So I think if we use technology and we give officers that opportunity for less lethal options and de-escalation techniques. With respect to defunding the police, there's no call or movement in Fort Bend County for defunding the police. But you know, as the sheriff or a constable, we present a budget to the commissioner's court, and the commissioner's court determine whether they're going to fund your budget. So let's just make the assumption that the commissioner's court maybe in the future decides to cut funds from police agencies. I would put the funding toward mental health, additional training on less lethal options to further de-escalate situations where officers don't have to go to deadly force and lives may be saved.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Same question proposed to you, Mr. Fagan.
And we're going to give you 2 minutes, 2 minutes and 15 seconds if you need it.
Okay, great question. Let's start at the very top. Do I believe in defunding the police? No, and I'll tell you why. You want the best that you can get on your department to attract the best officer. To do that, you have to have a comprehensive salary to bring them there. And also the equipment that you need, the 21st century equipment to use for de-escalation. And you have to know about it. Like the Bolo rap. this is a came out has been being used where a gun that you shoot is non-lethal. It's even more non-lethal than a taser. It wraps a person up. We people where officers want to use deadly force. Also look into Teflon blankets, something that can wrap up individuals without using deadly force. We have to look at 21st century technology at our hands and weapons. We have to use that in the public and for our officer safeties as well. Body cameras. We both agree body cameras should be used in law enforcement in all agencies. Look, Fort Bend County cameras now, but this is something that we both agree on. The Commissioner's Court doesn't give us the money off of federal grants. Other law enforcement agencies are already doing that. We can do the same.
Okay.
Look, you want the brightest at your department. You want the best officers. My time?
No, you got 15 more seconds.
So to have the best, you can't have a plastic budget. Oh, okay. To have the best, you can't have a plastic budget. You need that. So defunding the police, not only at the use the funds best and wisely.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Fagan, for your response. You have some good points, but you have an unstable connection that's making it hard for the viewers to hear you. But we're hearing some of your points. Back to you, Monica.
Okay. So, candidates, what is your? No, I think which kind of covered that one. What is the first project that's on your plan? Just the first one that you know is critical for you to introduce when you get into office if you're elected. What's your first project? We'll go to you, Trevor.
Body-worn cameras.
Okay. Well, that was simple. Eric?
I'm trying to save time.
That's a good one, though.
I'm sure you have other great questions, so that's it. Yes. It's a simple, straight point. Body-worn cameras will be the first priority within the Sheriff's Department and the Patrol Division.
Awesome. Eric, your first project.
The next sheriff is to rescind that 911 order was put out. It's to rescind that order. The 911 order, if you don't know about it, took away 911 calls for some constable office, contract officers. I want to rescind that order. The very next thing is a double two-parter. I agree with Constable Trevor to get those body cameras. That is sorely needed.
Awesome. Did one of you, Sean or
that wasn't Brady, a hard question, so neither one of us needed that much time.
Well, that's good because we still have a few more questions. I know that we have. If we have time, we'll try to get to the audience questions, and they may be asking some of the same questions that we're already addressing. So, I yield to the floor to the next speaker.
My brother, if you got anything, go ahead.
I do. Both candidates, I got a question in regards to your stance on racial profiling. How will you ensure your deputies are not utilizing that legal technique? And what will be some of the, repercussions or punishment that you would impose on your deputy to make sure this systematic issue is not constantly happening?
That would be Eric that's going to answer first. Eric, I think you're frozen.
As you have seen in the okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
How about now?
Yes.
As you've seen in the news, okay. Have you seen in the news in the Chronicle? They already said the Drug Task Force has been accused of racial profiling. pulling over Hispanic citizens more frequently than any other. This starts from the top. You have to put policies in place that says there's zero tolerance of racial profiling. We have to do that. I hope my opponent agrees with profiling 21st policing. Has happened in the past and it's going on now. My very first statement when I came on, statistics in Fort Bend County shows that if you're African American, you're 8 times more likely to be stopped. Hispanic, 3 times more likely to be stopped. We have to change that, and it starts from the top. There will be zero tolerance, and you put policies in place. And if an officer breaks these, there are repercussions. If you put them in, you put orders out there, and they break the policies, that you can go from anywhere, off, loss of pay, to termination.
15 seconds. I don't know. Is he stopped or is he froze?
Thank you, folks. Got
15 seconds. No racial profiling in Fort Bend County under my administration.
Awesome. Great.
We caught that.
Trevor?
Okay, I'll try to be as clear as I can. As the next sheriff, I will not tolerate any form of racial profiling or racial discrimination at the Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office, period. It will not happen. If it does happen, and we do find a deputy or two practicing some type of profiling, we will immediately eradicate it from the sheriff's office. Now, Mr. Fagan was throwing some statistical data out there. What I must clarify with him is the data. In 2019, there were 23,990 traffic stops conducted in Fort Bend County. Now think about that, 23,990. And this is reportable to the state, it's public record. 15% of those traffic stops were conducted against Hispanic, Latino. In a 2018 Census Bureau, and I can cite the source, indicates Fort Bend County is made up of 21% Hispanic Latino, yet only 15% of the traffic stops conducted by the sheriff's office were Latino. So, Mr. Fagan, I'm not sure where you get your statistics, but that's the fact. Now, with respect to Black Americans 8 times more likely, I assure you this, if that statistic is accurate and you have the data to prove it, as your next sheriff, we will eradicate that problem day one because it's uncalled for. It's so ridiculous to think law enforcement would target a specific ethnic group or culture or skin color in a law enforcement capacity. Just won't allow it, won't tolerate it as your next sheriff.
Great.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your answers. Monica, back to you, and we're down to 5 minutes.
Okay, great. My last question, I do have one on the live if we can get to that. But my last question for me is, what is the most consistent thing since you've been campaigning? And I know that Trevor, you have a little bit more because you've been in the office. But I do know that Eric has also been on the campaign trail for the last couple of years that I know of. To your best of your knowledge, since you've been campaigning, what has been the most consistent thing that voters have told you that they want changed, and you are going to change that if you make it into office? Eric?
The big I've been from voters while I've been campaigning is this: the community outreach, the sheriff's department, the community being brought together. They're nervous about being stopped because of the color of their skin. They're nervous about officers not even coming into the community. Look, sometimes on Fort Bend County, there's less than 8 officers patrolling the entire county. We have to change that. I believe community-oriented policing is past due, and we have to do better, and we can do that. Work together. I want to bring citizens review panel. I want to have a crime prevention program, a community outreach program, mediations. We must be proactive and more community oriented. So as your next sheriff, I'm gonna reach out to the public, all people of the public, Hispanic, Black, Caucasian, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, it doesn't matter. We're all Fort Bend. We're all Fort Bend strong. We should stick together and work together, and we can do this. As your next sheriff, I will do this. So thank you. I appreciate it, and God bless everyone. Stay safe.
Great. Trevor, same question.
What I've noticed on the campaign trail, when I pound on doors or I talk to people, I believe that a very high majority, a good majority of people that live in Fort Bend County love their law enforcement officers. Whether you're Missouri City Police Department, Sugar Land Police Department, Fulshire Police Department, Needville, I could name all the communities. They have a good, comfortable feeling of their law enforcement officers. And if we took a survey, I would think we would have a very high percentage that appreciate what the fine men and women do within the respective office to serve them each and every day to keep them safe and secure. Now, for your viewers and listeners, Fort Bend County is ranked number 2. There are 254 counties in the state of Texas. Fort Bend County is ranked number 2 for the best places to live. And why is that? We have safe, secure streets. We have business opportunities. Our schools, whether they're public, private, charter schools, are great places to educate our children. There's a lot of great things about Fort Bend County, which is why it's ranked number 2. But with respect to the community partnerships, we've got a crisis intervention team, collaboration with homeowners association, great programs like Kids and Cops, a Citizens Police Academy, a lot of great programs that are taking place each and every day. And it's not just the Fort Bend County Sheriff's Department. Missouri City Police Department has a Citizens Police Academy that is second to none. Sugar Land Police Department. So I think the people that live in the unincorporated areas love what the Sheriff's Department does. Those that live in municipalities, cities, they love what their municipal police do each and every day. And what's great about it is we got great Fort Bend leadership within our law enforcement agencies. You think of Chief Eric Robbins, and Chief Eric Robbins and I were patrolled together in '93 at Sugar Land. What a great police chief. You think of Chief Ramirez in the city of Stafford. So I do not believe, as Mr. Fagan says, that we have all this racial divide in our county. I just don't, if it does exist, Eric, I don't know about it. I don't know if we know about it. But I think about
thank you.
The relationship that I have with Constable had with Reuben Davis, and I have with Daryl Smith. We work well together.
Trust me, I couldn't be a moderator because I'm like, okay, well, let him finish. But I know that you're passionate, Trevor, as to you, Eric. We want to make sure we do get to our questions and things like that. And I know that we having some connection issues and things like that. But we want to go on to our next question. That's all of my questions. I'm going to yield to our gentlemen to ask their questions. And if we have time, I'll ask the one question that I have from the floor.
I think at this point we should just go ahead and ask that question that was posed in the chat to make sure that question is thoroughly answered.
All right, let's do that. Melissa Wilson asks, do you all support initiatives that will allow funding for programs and services that would keep our young boys off the street?
Good question. Eric? Did Eric hear me? Eric?
Yes, I believe. Yes, I do want programs to do that. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, we can.
You hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir, we can.
Give you 1 minute though. We got to shorten the time.
Can you hear me? Am I frozen?
You are frozen,
Hello?
but we can hear you.
do want to start programs. You want program to reach out. Okay, I do want to start on my programs like my
Eric,
youth
we can't hear
initiative.
you.
To start programs. Mr. Nehls said that there's a problem with minorities and the police. Well, I do. And minorities in Fort Bend, they see it as well. We do have great law enforcement agencies here. I know Chief Rob personally. I know him personally. He's a great chief, African-American man. I know Reuben Davis. He trained me at the Houston Police Department. I know all of these individuals. But if you're in the minority and in law enforcement, it's two different things. You have to be in my skin to understand that. Not taking nothing, but being an African-American man, I know there's a difference how law enforcement treat people who look like me than people that look like him. That's just a fact, and we have to address it.
Okay, Trevor. Thank you, Eric.
And then I'll get into the question that Ms. Wilson asked. Number one, yes, as your sheriff, Mr. Fagan, if that is the case, that the resource you cited 8 times more likely, that will be addressed post haste. That's how important that is to me, because anyone that looks at a person's skin color to make a decision on how you're going to respond or treat somebody is egregious. It's a shock to my conscience, and it should be a shock to anyone listening to this. If you're a Christian, number one, I would find that, I just can't imagine that frame of mind. But let's talk about the initiatives that Ms. Wilson asked about for specifically kids. You know, the Fort Bend County Sheriff's Department has what's called a Kids and Cops program. And that Kids and Cops program, it reaches out during the school year and in summer camp to communicate with our kids, to get kids a little more comfortable on dealing with police officers. And of course, generations change. And generations before us, they will continue to change from here on out. And you have to adapt your style to deal with the generation, because you're not going to change the generation. You have to adapt your style, your initiatives, whatever they may be, to the different culture and the different program services offered to young kids. But the social networking program that we have currently in place reaches out to them all. And I think we do a good job in communicating with them. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. You did better that time.
Somebody was giving me the hook.
Okay, does anybody else have a question before I ask the one from the live?
No, go ahead. Let's get to.
Yeah, they have done a great job. Actually, I have 101 questions, but we're out of time. So I'm gonna let you ask your question. But I wish we can have them back on some other time, because they provided the audience with a lot of great information.
Oh, yeah.
The moderators. So thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you. Mine is really, really quick. I think it's really yes or no answer. Is, would you have enforced a policy to add more women to your command staff if elected? Yes or no? Trevor?
You want me to start?
Yes.
Yeah, just yes or no.
As your next sheriff, we will bring more diversity, more gender equality to the Fort Bend County Sheriff's Department. Yes.
Awesome. Okay, Eric, yes or no? Can you hear us, Eric?
Yes. Yes, I will.
Awesome. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I will. Yes.
Okay, so we got that question in. Is there another significant question that's in the chat that we could get in before we let these guys close out with their closing remarks? Ray?
No, pretty much the questions that was asked have been answered by the candidates.
Okay, and I figured that. Just want to say hello to Wanda Fagan, who's on. That's Eric's sister, good friend of mine. Councilwoman Virginia Rosa Stafford, City Council said hello, and Mr. Alexander. I just want to acknowledge the people that I do see making comments over here. Thank y'all for tuning in, not to mention the hundreds that are watching right now. So, is it okay if I go ahead and let the guys close out their closing remarks and say whatever thing that they want to say to convince those voters?
Yeah. And before y'all do that, I want to tell y'all thank you so much for coming on the Real Men Talk and educating the audience. You have a lot of communities and people outside the community that's listening and watching. And I know you all have 101 things you can be doing in regards to your campaign, but you chose to come on the Real Men Talk show. So thank you very much and good luck in your campaign.
And for myself, it's a pleasure to have both of you on the show. Thank you again for being here. But more than that, I just want to thank you for being the men that you are and being the men that you are in the community and for the community. Never change that and keep being who you are. Thank you for that.
Amen to both these guys. And then if we can stay on after, before you close out the show, so we can just give them some voting information, Ray. Thank you again. My sentiments are the same as Ray and Sean. Thank you so much for committing this time. I know we went a little bit over, but I think it was so important for the voters to hear your passion, hear your responses, and your initiatives that you plan on implementing, you know, if either one of you are voted in. And I just want to give you guys an opportunity to close out your closing comments. I'm going to set the timer. I'm going to tell you when you have 30 seconds left. Yes. Don't make me do like this. That's the microphone. Okay. That's your amen moment. So I'm going to give you a minute and a half to go ahead and close out and just say your final thoughts to the voters, the listeners. I always like to tell people you're either talking to a voter, you're talking to a potential voter, or you're talking to someone that has influence of a voter. So I'm going to give you guys a minute and a half to close out your remarks. Make sure you include how people can find you on your social media, websites, and whatever as well. So we're going to close out with Eric. I think your connection looks good right now, so I want to catch you while it's going good.
Thank
Eric,
you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate being here with the Real Men Talk. Look, I'm asking everyone to vote for me. I think I'm overly qualified to be your next Fort Bend County Sheriff. I'm the only candidate in this race that has hands-on experience dealing with mental illness. I have a master's degree in juvenile forensic psychology where I perform psychological evaluations. I understand de-escalation, what we need to do. We need more CIT training. We do have CIT officers, deputies on the department now. I know that. And I know they get training, mandatory 40-hour training, but they need more, even more training. As your sheriff, I would do that. I'm a certified mediator. I want to bring that to the department as well, where we can have the community and the community we serve and the officers come together, open the doors of law enforcement to the public. We want to do that. I want to start a citizens review board. These are all progressive things, and I'm that candidate that will do it. I'm asking everyone to come out and vote and bless and stay safe. Thank you.
And you got 10 seconds left, so tell them your social media or how they can connect to you after this show.
You can reach me at www.fagan.com. Check out my website. And please, early voting has already started. It goes all the way to October 30th. The last date, November 3rd. Don't wait till then. Come out. We already broke one record. Let's keep breaking the record. Come out and vote. Make your voice count.
Awesome. Great. Trevor?
Thank you. Well, Monica, I want to thank you. The Real Men Talk show. It's been an honor, and I'm hoping we can do this once again in the near future, or even after the elections, depending on how things work out. But I just want to let your viewers and listeners know, I'm uniquely qualified to be the next sheriff, and I'll tell you why. As I alluded to earlier, I've served in Fort Bend County for over 27 years as a police officer. So I understand Fort Bend County. I understand precincts 1, 2, 3, and 3, and the leadership that leads the law enforcement agencies in those specific precincts. in addition to my 32 years of military experience, where I was trained and educated to be a strategic level thinker, to be a critical thinker. I have 2 master's degrees. I don't talk about education that much, but I have 2 master's degrees from credible institutions here across our country. And I'm proud of those degrees. But I think my strategic level thinking experience uniquely qualifies me to be the next sheriff of a very large sheriff's office. In addition, I've been a supervisor of a law enforcement agency for over 20 years. It didn't start last week. So I've been developing and shaping my career to be the leader of an organization. And I've been the leader of the Precinct 4 Constable's Office for the last 8 years. But I think the relationships that I've built throughout Fort Bend County across the diversity is wonderful, it's heartfelt, and it's appreciated. Now, my campaign, I can be reached through social media via trevornehls.com. That's a website. And you spell Trevor, Trever, not O-R. So it's trever.nehls.com. And then I have a Facebook page, Trevor for Sheriff, so on and so forth. But last, and I think this is most important, I want to thank Eric. Mr. Eric Fagan, I thank you, number one, for taking the time out this evening, for throwing your name in the hat, because you know the stresses of the anxiety of a campaign. But I thank Eric, because we've been given a right to do this. And that's the great part of the Democrat process in our country. And I think we should all be proud of it. And when you see the polls and the number of people voting each and every day, we should feel proud of that. That's the alive American spirit today, when you got people waiting 3 hours to cast a ballot. In my opinion, America is alive and well, and this election is showing us that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you both again, gentlemen. I got some great notes that I'm going to be able to share as a little bit of a recap on my page and the Mountain Movement. You know, I'm all about educating our voters. I'm not going to be endorsing a candidate as I normally do, because I think y'all are both phenomenal, and I think y'all will both do a fantastic job, whoever makes it into that office. And I think it's significant that y'all have shared so much valuable information and how people can connect to you. Eric, I know that you were struggling with the connection and things like that, but as I said, you know, listeners, if you couldn't hear all of his responses, go back and watch the replay. It may be a little bit better, but also reach out to him on his social media or his website so that you can learn more about Eric Fagan. And do the same thing with Trevor Nehls. Go reach out to his social media, his webpage, so that you can learn more about details if you missed anything in this show. But thank you guys so much for being on the shore. God bless you. Make sure that you get lots of rest and hydrated on the campaign trail, and we'll see you on the other side of November 4th after the election is over. God bless y'all.
Thank you both. You guys have a wonderful evening now.
Thank you.
Thank you both very much. And because of you, I usually early vote, but I'm probably going to wait till the last minute to figure out which one of you all I want to cast my vote for. This has been very interesting in regards to your platform and what you're running on. So, yeah, we'll see how this turns out. But thank you all very, very much.
Yes, yes. Good night, guys.
Good night.
All right, Ray, Sean, you know, we got to plug in that Get Out and Vote effort, GOTV. I don't have no doubt that people are going to get out to vote. So we're just going to tell them what they need to know is early voting started yesterday on the 13th. It's going to go all the way through October 30th. And I'm just talking about here in Fort Bend County. Other states may have different time frames and stuff. But for Fort Bend County, you can vote anywhere in Fort Bend County this week from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And that does include until Saturday. Polls are closed on Sundays, but the following Monday through Saturday is the same thing, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. The last week of early voting will be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Nothing on that Saturday. And we will go to Election Day on November 3rd, where polls will be open from 7 until. And one clarification on the last week of early voting, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday in Fort Bend County, polls will be open until 9 p.m. I have all this information on my page, my Facebook page, as well as the Mountain Movement. And I'm pretty sure that the Real Men Talk, they're going to post it on theirs as well, those voting locations and those times. So please get out to vote. But when you do vote, go all the way down to the bottom of the ballot, because that's where your county and your local elections are happening, where both of these gentlemen, if you're Fort Bend County, are going to be on your ballot. So happy voting, and be safe, guys, out there, and please be patient.
Thank you, Monica. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for setting this up, and thank you for making Politic Wednesday what it is. Next week, you guys tune into. We have Pure Justice, a nonprofit organization here in Houston who does a lot of work, who's really been pounding the pavement in regards to getting voters out there to vote. And also, we will have State Representative Ron Reynolds, who will be on the show talking about his campaign. So please tune into the Real Man Talk Show next week at 8 p.m. And to those who want to donate, you can donate to the Cash App L Hightower Sr. If you have a business or service that you'd like to promote, please reach out to the realmantalk@gmail.com. And let's get your business and your services up here so the world will know about it. But thank you very much for tuning in. Brother Sean.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
One last thing to say. Now, this is not my quote. I'm stealing it. But stay positive, but test negative.
And that can apply to a whole lot of things.
And I'm just going to leave it at that. We'll leave it at that.
I like that.
Yes, that was a good one. That was a good one, Sean.
I had to keep
All righty, guys.
Well, yeah, get out there and vote. And once again, thank you for tuning in. And we'll be back next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Sean. God, have a good evening.
You too.
Y'all too. Good night, guys.
Later. Night.